What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Bring the Thunder podcast, NBA Finals edition. Today, we're going to just go over the matchup. OKC's taking on the Indiana Pacers. We're going to go through matchups, how both teams got here, and then we'll give you guys our predictions, our series predictions. But we'll start with how both of these teams got here. Obviously, OKC sweeping Memphis, beating Denver in 7, and then taking out the Grizzlies in an easy 5, a gentleman's sweep. And then you got Indiana beating Milwaukee in the first pretty easily, Cleveland pretty easily in the second round, and then the Knicks in 6 in the conference final. Taking both games in New York to start the series. It's the number 1 team since January 1st against the number 2 team since January 1st. It's the number 1 rated defense versus the number 1 rated offense. We got a matchup on our hands, and it's going to be quite the series. But I guess we could just honestly dive right into matchups if you guys wanted to.
Yeah. I think the matchup that I'm looking for is Shai. He's averaging, I think, 32.7 points per game in the playoffs. He torched Indiana in the regular season. I'm hoping he keeps that consistency up, but we also can't have games from him where it's like 13 points or 8 points or anything like that. Nothing less than 25 points is going to be – I'd rather him average a cool 28 than him, drop a couple games where we lose in those matchups. So that's what I'm looking for on my end.
Yep, the Pacers like to space out and shoot threes. I checked, and they're shooting 39% in their last 10 games. So perimeter defense will be huge. Thankfully, the Thunder have a lot of solid perimeter defenders. But the Thunder have also had some stinkers from three, like 25%, 20% as a team, which I don't really think that can happen against this Pacers team. You have to match their three-point shooting. So guy like Dort, maybe even some Joe action, those guys are going to have to step up and hit some threes.
Yeah, my opinion on these matchups, I mean, we'll break them down one by one, but just in general, like you mentioned, Pacers like shooting the three. They space out for, Haliburton and McConnell to create, Siakam to create. I think OKC benefits, like Landon said, with their perimeter defenders. I mean, there's an endless list of them, including the MVP as well. And then this is probably the easiest series so far for OKC in terms of getting to the rim. They don't have a shot blocker. They don't have a dominant force in the paint like Minnesota had, Gobert and obviously Jackson and Edey against Memphis. And, Denver was going zone the whole series, so it wasn't the easiest. But they don't really have a dominant inside force offensively or defensively. Like Turner's not going to beat us up in the paint. But, yeah, we could break down some of the matchups. Who do you guys think will be guarding Haliburton? I think it's going to probably be I'm leaning towards Lou. I think Lou's going to guard Haliburton.
Yeah, Lou Dort. And then when Lou Dort's out, it's Case and Wallace. Probably down the stretch, it'll be Caruso seeing him most of the time. That's probably kind of the rotation we've been running against most of the guards, and I don't think it should change. What do you guys think? What do you
think?
Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, I think it will be Lou to start, but I think it will be a 3 or 4 man punch. A lot of different looks at him to kind of try to throw him off.
I think we'll definitely be able to slow him down with the combination of Lou, Kaysen, Caruso. He's had really good games, and then he's had really shitty games. When he's very good, he's a top tier player. When he's not shooting the ball well, he puts up games where he scores 6 points. So I think we could limit him offensively, scoring wise, 100% with those matchups. And then looking at Siakam, I'm looking at J-Dub, and truthfully, I'm looking at Caruso as well, because Caruso has been guarding Jokic, Jaren Jackson Jr., Aaron Gordon, Julius Randle. So J-Dub to start, and a lot of Caruso on Siakam as well, which I think will give him problems as well. He's been outstanding this playoff. He won conference final MVP, but I just think we have a better matchup for him than the Knicks did. And then to fill it out, I mean, Naismith and Nembhard against Shai, and most likely, I'm gonna think maybe Chet to start on like Naismith probably if we do go double big, which I'm assuming we will. I don't see anything changing. Naismith was shooting the ball well, but doesn't necessarily concern me at all. And Nembhard and Shai could guard Nembhard, and I don't really think they have anyone to guard Shai. So I think this is a really nice matchup for OKC, especially in the NBA Finals. I think we have mismatches everywhere, including the bench. I mean, their best player off the bench is McConnell and Toppin, and then they go with like Shepherd, who's a shooter, Mathurin, who's like been really streaky. They've been hating on him a lot, and like Thomas Bryant. Our bench goes Caruso, Kaysen, could see some Kenny, could see some Wiggins, could see some Isaiah. I'm sure you'll see some Wiggins and Isaiah just to keep the offense rolling. But I don't see any matchups where Indiana's looking at it and licking their chops. Like, I don't think there's anyone they could pick on. I don't think there's anyone they could target. And in their last series, there was two guys that they were trying to target every possession down the floor. It was Brunson and Cat. That we don't have any of those guys that they're going to be like, all right, we need to go this way. So,
yeah, our whole lineup is a plus rating, except for Isaiah Joe and I believe Wiggins. So there's not anyone defensively they can pick on. Right. Sorry, go ahead, Lennon.
I was gonna say, like, they don't have that guy off their bench that's just consistently a scorer. They kind of count on multiple guys and just hope that one of them steps up. So it'll probably be a different guy off their bench that's giving us buckets every game. You don't really know what you're going to get. It's just a night-to-night thing with them, right? Which can either hurt you or help you.
Right. They're a full team. I think that honestly benefits OKC because if they're looking for Toppin to score 18 points off the bench, I don't necessarily see that happening. McConnell is very good for them, but who's McConnell's matchup? Like when he hops in the game, maybe Kaysen Wallace. Like I don't think he's gonna love that. And like then they'll just be relying on Shepherd to shoot, Thomas Bryant to come in and knock down some shots. Like I'm not really worried about their bench at all. I think the two guys we really got to focus on are Haliburton and Siakam, and we got perfect defenders for both of them. I just don't see anything going for Indiana in this series. Consistently, I should say. If you go like what the Knicks were able to do offensively, they were able to, like, in the games they won, they were able to attack, one-on-ones, especially like Towns and Brunson. Like Haliburton's solid defensively, but they're going to have Naismith on Shai, and then the rest of the team is, like, not tough defensively. So outside of Shai, I think Dub, Chet, Hartenstein will all have really good series. Lou's got to make his shots this series for sure. But like I said, like we could attack Haliburton, we could attack Nembhard, we could attack Turner. I think we'll exploit those weaknesses on their defensive side of the ball.
I think Chet's going to have to play with an aggressive mindset. I think he should take it to the rim a lot on them until they prove that they can stop us at the rim.
Yeah, I mean, his last couple games, Game 4 and Game 5 against Minnesota, he was super aggressive. Some we haven't really –
He seemed a lot more – yeah, he seemed a lot more aggressive, and I like that out of him. That's what I want him to do, is be an aggressive player. I mean, he's gifted, 7 foot, can dribble, can shoot. I mean, yeah, it's a mismatch. It's a mismatch defensively for teams defensively a lot of the time. So I think we should capitalize on that.
We saw glimpses of that in the regular season, and then the last 2 games against Minnesota, he was really going. He was taking people off the dribble. He was getting offensive rebounds and going right back to the rim, which I love. not putting really the ball down. He's been excellent. I think Hartenstein in the beginning of games is going to absolutely kill Indiana. Like I said, Myles Turner and Siakam against Chet and Hartenstein is just it favors OKC. It just does. And I think Shai will kill Indiana as well. I mean, he's averaging like 39 against them in the regular season. I know it's a different team on both sides, but we were able to take one by 21 in OKC this year and 1 by 6 in Indiana. Both games without Chet. So that kind of just shows where we are against this team. We also only lost one game against the Eastern Conference all year. So I think honestly, not trying to shit on Indiana, I just don't see a matchup for them. I don't see a consistent, place they could go offensively, and I don't see them winning too many games this year. I think the Knicks would have matched up better with OKC with their wing defenders. I think OG, McHale would have gave us more problems than Nembhard and Naismith, but
yeah. I feel like if things head south for them, they might go to some small ball. So we might see a little more Kenrich Williams action at the 5 spot to match it.
I'll counter the take of saying I think the Pacers have the more versatile lineup compared to the Knicks. I guess the benefits on our end, like our defensive efficiency is like 106.6. The turnover rate for OKC is 16.9%. In the playoffs, it's been like 104.7 and 17.7%. I think the keys for Indiana is continuing to limit the turnovers, specifically Haliburton. He's been having an all-time playoff run in terms of holding on to the ball, not turning it over. Let's see if their pace of play continues. Their shooting continues. They've been a better shooting team than we have, a more consistent team. If they can, pull together a couple of those keys where they don't have turnovers, they have a high shooting game, and I'll probably foresee them playing a lot of zone because they don't have a stingy defense, whatever. Like they're less than middle of the pack or around middle of the pack in terms of the regular season and in the playoffs. So I could see them going towards a similar zone against Shai, walling him up similar to what they did against Giannis and just saying, you're not going to get to this basket, make your mid-ranges or don't. And if they do that with Shai and J-Dub, we've seen J-Dub struggle against that as well. I think it'll be paramount for our offense is Chet, J-Dub, and Shai is getting to the rack. If they're not getting to the rack early in the first 2 games, I'll probably reevaluate and say, hey, man, we're getting out coached, we're whatever, and we need to adjust. And there's not many adjustments to make against the zone when they start building a wall. We've seen it when we played against the Bucks. We've seen it against the Mavericks last season in the playoffs. So that's kind of the key. And, let the corner shooter do what they do. And I feel like the Pacers are the best team to play that zone, play the corner shooter game, and just outshoot OKC. And I'm not going to predict them, obviously, to win, but I do think they'll make it at least a respectable 6 games. Obviously, I'm hoping we win in 5 as a fan, but I do think, they can at least take 2 games with the way they're playing offense. They're the second best team up until this point. And offense wins games at times. I feel like defense wins championships, of course. So there's some points where it's like, if the first 2 games don't go the right way, those will probably be the reasons why.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, OKC can't fall in love with the 3 ball and try to match Indiana 3 for 3. That's something that would just not go in their favor. But I noticed in the difference between the Denver series and the Minnesota series, we were really quick to set up and get into action against Minnesota when they went zone. They tried to go zone a few times each game, but they had to get out of it right away because we were exploiting their zone. We figured out, when they were going to run it and when they do, how to exploit it. Shai was killing their zone. They had no answers. Chet, Hartenstein alley-oops, Caruso mid-range. I think we've grown from that Denver series exponentially. When we saw that Denver wall type matchup, box in one zone, we had no idea what to do with it in the beginning. But once they continue to do so, like in that game 7, we killed it. And then Minnesota tried to do their own version. And every time they went in the zone, we scored. Literally, like every time. We were ready. Instead of waiting and setting a high screen, we were getting right into action. Not letting them really set up the zone. And we were either hitting a 3 or getting to the rim or getting to our spot mid-range. Again, I'm not necessarily worried if Indiana wants to go zone. If they want to go zone, we'll find the sweet spot to kill them. I mean, they have Siakam, who's long. I don't really know how Turner matches up well in this series. I don't know how much we'll see him. That'll be based off the first game or two. But you take Turner out. They have one shot blocker maybe in Siakam. So we'll be able to, no matter what defense we see, we'll be able to score points.
Yeah.
Something that's interesting to me is sometimes when the Thunder get like a few days of break or a week, they come in and look a little slow. So it'll be interesting to see if they come out ready to go or if it's a bit of a slow start. Hopefully they come out firing away, but it wouldn't shock me if it's a little slow to start. But I think they'll eventually find their footing. I mean, we saw in the first game of the Denver series, they started really slow in that first game.
Yeah, it's also like a feeling out process, especially against Indiana. We played them twice this year. We haven't seen them since, like December or something. So it's like a new team, a new matchup, new personnel. So it might start slow. I still think we absolutely dominate at home. I think we lost 6 games at home all season.
8-1 in the playoffs too.
8-1 in the playoff. We have like a plus 200 or something at home. I don't see Indiana. Like Indiana's going to shoot better in Indiana
for sure, especially the role players.
Yeah, I don't see them coming into OKC, and I don't see them taking one in OKC the whole series, no matter how long the series goes. I'm saving my prediction for the end here, but I mean we're dominant at home. We're gonna kill them in OKC. We just got to take one on the road. It's the same formula against Minnesota. Minnesota shot a lot of threes against us too. They tried the same formula. Minnesota was hacking up jumpers. They couldn't necessarily get to the rim against us, besides like Ant, sometimes Julius. And I don't really see Indiana having slashers like Ant. Haliburton's good, but he's not going to like take us off the dribble every possession. Siakam's more of a post guy, which I like our matchup against him with J-Dub and weak side Chet. They're going to have to shoot 70% from 3 to beat us. It's just what it is. And I'm not trying to jinx us or be cocky, but like it's just what it is. They're going to have to shoot their minds out to win a game in this series. This is what it is.
Yeah,
I won't be. I was just gonna say I won't be panicked if it does happen. We saw it in game 3 of the Minnesota series.
Right.
So
you just don't want it to be game 1. You just don't want it to be game 1. Even
that is true.
No,
I would prefer that to happen in Indiana.
Yeah.
I will say Haliburton's leading all players in playoff assist generated points with like 25 points off his passes. And that's not accounting just for the points that he's also generating himself. So as a player, he's generating a lot of points even when he's not, just scoring. So he's possibly generating like 45 points nearly just by himself as a player. I think alongside the turnovers, we're going to have to close down the passing lanes against him, turn him over that way. Because I think the traditional way of turning him over of like, you're going to get steals, maybe guys like Cason Wallace and Crusoe are, going to get a couple from him here and there. But the main place is limiting the passes and turning him into a scorer and see what he can kind of do. I'd prefer he's not really a guy that has the strength to like get into the lane or anything. He's not like Shai. He hasn't perfected that part of his game. So I hope we can kind of annoy him enough into playing isolation ball versus continuing to, play kind of the perfect ball that he's been playing up until now. I think the other benefit to us, matching up against them, we're one of the best teams as a unit assisting like each other. We've seen that. We like broken multiple Thunder records throughout the regular season of how many assists we get off. So hopefully that continues as well. We don't go into too much isolation. I think that's what it's going to come down to, is a lot of team basketball. This is going to not just be one, obviously, just off of Shai, but we're going to need a matchup with them in that way too, because like Landon was mentioning earlier, their depth, you don't know where their points are coming from. And I think that's the hardest part about game planning. It's like, you don't really know who you're game planning against. Like
Right.
It could be any of their guys that have a great night. And that's how they've been winning games, is just that surprise factor. And I think that's the main thing that scares me, just having watched them up until now, is like every game was won so differently from them, versus like the Knicks run was just so consistent. Like we knew it was Brunson, we knew it was Cat. Like it's easy to stop. It's easy as a defense to hone in and game plan. And I'm sure Mark feels the same way right now. Game planning for these guys is like, okay, we know, Shai's going to do his thing. We know Pascal Siakam's probably going to do his thing, even though we have all NBA defensive guys like Dort and J-Dub. It's just like, guys that are championship caliber, they're going to do their thing regardless. It's the others that you never know about.
Yeah, I got one last rebuttal before we start doing our actual predictions here, but it's with the Haliburton, how many points he's generating. One, he hasn't seen a defense like OKC. He hasn't seen a perimeter defense, a guard defense like OKC has. Another thing with Indiana's every series that Indiana has been in, they've been able to focus on 1 to 2 weak spots in the opposing team's defense and attack that. Especially against Milwaukee and Cleveland. Cleveland, they were attacking Donovan. They were trying to attack Darius when he was on the floor. I mean, it was announced. They were trying to go at Garland. Against New York, it was clear as day. They were trying to go at Brunson. They were trying to go at Towns. We don't have that anywhere. All teams have seen that. And then my last point with you saying, Savir, is like, yeah, we don't know where it's going to come from outside of Haliburton and Siakam. These are the two best teams in the NBA this year in playing team style basketball. But what it's going to come down to is our team has a guy who's an MVP, and we could go to him every possession in the fourth quarter. They can go to Siakam every possession in the fourth quarter, but we're just going to be everywhere. They're going to have to play team ball and try to find buckets. We just know where ours are going to come from in the last couple minutes of the game. That's the difference between these teams.
And then on top of that, they don't even know what rotation we're going to throw at them. We saw our rotation change from game to game against Minnesota. We could have an entirely different rotation in game 2 than we have in game 1.
Right. Yeah. So I guess now we can get into our predictions. Savir, you could start. Give us who wins, how many games, and a little bit of a reasoning why, even though we already talked about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said it earlier where I'm hoping for a Thunder in 5, but I think it's going to be a Thunder in 6. I could see them possibly stealing like game 1 or 2, early, and then splitting with us on their home court, and then we can close out after that. I can just see them taking a game from how they've been playing, how we've been playing. It feels like, we haven't had, obviously we swept the Grizzlies, but they were on their way to winning that one, so we would have possibly dropped against them. So it feels like every series we've at least dropped one, and I respect this team enough to see that they ran through the Cavaliers defense, and they have the DPOY candidate over there. Not saying our defense are slouches or anything like that. Obviously, we know how good they are and how they've competed. But I feel like they just match up the best against us. With the flexibility of their roster, they can do the same thing we can do. It's going to come down to those clutch minutes, and the fact that Tyrese Haliburton kind of beat out Jalen Brunson has me a little bit worried as well, because Shai kind of has a similar style of a Jalen Brunson in the way that he wants to get to his spots, and their coach really limited Brunson from getting us to his spots. It was very obvious that Brunson wasn't looking the same way in the fourth quarters as the previous series. And I'm curious, if they employ like a similar strategy. So I feel like it's a little bit more of a complex matchup game to game series than it is like we know exactly which games will be won or lost.
Landon?
I kind of like how these teams are similar in the fact that Myles Turner said it in his in his presser that the power of friendship, the Pacers have the power of friendship. That's kind of similar with the Thunder. And then I also saw something, or I also pulled up something that the odds favor the Thunder to win in 5 at plus 200. But what I found interesting is Vegas really favors the short series. The Thunder actually have better odds to win in 4 than in 6. They're plus 325 to win in 4 and plus 425 to win in 6.
Yep.
But I think it's Thunder in 5. I think both teams do a lot of the same things, but the Thunder just do it better. The way I see them beating us is shooting the lights out, which I think is not unlikely to happen in Indiana. There's a big role player confidence thing at home in the playoffs. When role players get at home, they tend to play better. And I feel like they might have one of those games at home where they shoot well in front of their home crowd. So I think that's what's going to happen in Indiana, but we'll come back and get the job done at Oklahoma City, which I think would be cooler than having the final ceremony in Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think you both bring up really good points. But I do side with Landon a little bit more. I think OKC in 5. I think we're better everywhere. Matchup wise, just everything. Honestly, I think we're better everywhere. They're going to get one. I'm assuming it's either game 3 or game 4. I'm hoping we go up 3-0 and just lose one. Because they're going to get one in their home court. But I just think we're going to be way too dominant at home. I don't see either of the games being necessarily close in the first 2 games. One of them will be an absolute rout, and the other one may be a little bit closer, but I don't see Indiana coming close to us in OKC. And like Landon said, they'll probably shoot the lights out, have one of their own runs in Indiana at some point. I'm going to hope it's game 4. I'm going to guess it's game 4, honestly. I think we just dominate them, and I think we win in 5. I think Shai already kind of gave the blueprint. We want to win at home. He wants to win it for the fans at home. So OKC in 5 is my prediction, and I'm a stand by that. I also do want to mention this has been so sweet because looking at all this Twitter stuff and all these Indiana fans, there's no nonsense. It's all respect. It's like good luck to you. It's not any BS that we've been seeing against Denver, against Minnesota fans. Pacer fans are cool. They're all right.
Yeah.
While other podcasts are doing draft breakdowns, we get to still do game previews and game recaps, which is a good feeling.
Yeah.
The best feeling. I want to mention a couple other stats before we get out of here. One of them is that we have the second youngest team to advance to the finals with an average age of 25.6. The only other one was the Trailblazers in 76, 77. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention here was the Pacers are 7-1 in clutch games in the playoffs. So I'm hoping that your point, Joe, we're blowing these guys out or we're having 10-point leads. I really don't want to see them in the clutch time. Obviously, we've been better with Shai, with hopefully the MVP that we close out those games. The other thing is they've been shooting 40% from 3 in the playoffs while we've been only shooting 33.6. So those are going to be some things that we'll be looking out for game 1 and seeing how it actually plays out.
Yeah, the difference between the Knicks and the Thunder is when they're up 20 at home, they're not going to lose the game.
Yeah.
And the same with the Pacers did that against Cleveland and the Knicks. They're not doing it in OKC.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But yeah, guys, appreciate everybody watching. Again, if you're new, hit the subscribe button. I know you're liking the content. Everyone else returning, appreciate you guys watching. Follow us on all socials. And Thunder up, baby. Let's go. Let's get this finals done. Let's go celebrate.
Let's do it.
More.
4 more.